Hi guys, it's Rose. Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. So this week I have quite a few things to kind of get through in this video. I say quite a few things, just a couple of different bits and pieces to get through in this video. And the first thing I want to talk to you guys about, these are just here for pretties as at the moment, okay? First thing I want to talk to you about is the Zodiac monthly giveaway that I do on my channel. So every month, anybody who comments on my videos will be entered into a draw to win a Zodiac journal or notebook, depending on what format I have available for that month. So for the month of April, it was the Aries one. So this is the one I have available for Aries. Got a little charm here on the side. And it is full of junky goodness. Okay, so I'm going to do the draw for this today, and I just wanted to give you a look at the Taurus one for the month of May. So here we have the other format of this that I have done. And again, inside it's got lots of lovely prints and junky papers, and it's all beautifully tea and coffee dyed. Okay, so that is for the month of May. So any of my videos that you comment on for the month of May, you will be entered into a draw to win this notebook. Now, I have in one of my previous videos spoken about how I cannot see a full list of my subscribers on YouTube. So if you want to be entered into the draw for these, you do need to be publicly subscribed. I will again put up the sheet of instructions for how to do that. The only thing that I need to add to that really is to say that you have to do it from a laptop or a desktop. You cannot do it from a mobile device, so not phone, not a tablet, that kind of thing. Okay. So let's get the drawing done for Aries. And I have my list here. And we had a whopping 85 entries. So as I said, anytime that you put a comment on one of my videos, each video commented on is an entry into the draw for these, okay? Okay, so I have here my random number generator on my phone. I have 85 already keyed in. Let's hit generate. Okay, so it's number 44, and number 44 on my list is Brenda Butler. Ah, Brenda, yay! So Brenda, you will be having the Aries journal, or the Aries notebook style journal, sent to you very soon. And I do have contact with you on Facebook and Messenger and things, so I will message you to get your address. So congratulations, Brenda. I'm so happy. Brenda has been with me for quite a while, and we did a swap on the Rach and Bella Facebook group a few months ago, and we got to talking, and you know, I love Brenda. So that is that. I'm all excited about that. Now, next thing is the mini May challenges over on the Rach and Bella Trading Post Facebook group. Is all about masterboards and masterboarding. Yay! So much fun. Okay, so Rachel gave us a freebie sheet to work with, and I have here all the bits. I've cut up all the bits out of that sheet, and this is what we have. There's lots in it, and I set myself a little extra challenge in that I didn't use any other patterned papers. I just used this sheet. Okay, so I've used lots of like book page papers and regular papers, but no other patterned papers, okay? Now, Rachel did do a fantastic video about masterboards, explaining what they are and how to go about making them and all the rest of that, but I just want to give a very quick overview of how I think of them and what I do with them before we get on to what we're doing today. So when I first came across the term masterboarding, or masterboard. I hadn't heard masterboarding, but masterboards. My immediate thought was, okay, so it's a piece you make that you can use as the base for lots of other things. So almost like a, what's the word? A vision board, where you would, or an inspiration board, but you actually use it. Okay, now I still think of it like that. That's a way that I haven't heard really many other people come out with it. So it lends continuity throughout your journal. If you make a masterboard or several masterboards using the similar type papers and things like that, as you can see here, even though these are all different, they all work together because I'm using the same types of papers in all of them. Now I have altered this one a little bit more. I will talk about that in a second. So if I use a piece out of these in anywhere in a journal that I'm using this same kit or any of the rest of that, it will work because there's continuity with the pieces, okay? So that is how I think of them. I think of them as a way to keep everything cohesive. If I use a masterboard, if I make a masterboard at the start of a journal and use pieces of it throughout, I have continuity throughout the journal, okay? And it's a great way to do that. Okay, so as you can see, I have different types of masterboards here. I went nuts, and these aren't the only ones I have. I was working with my Spring Fresh kit as well, and I have done some masterboards for that. So I have several different pieces here, okay? These two have been backed onto a light brown paper. This is just a roll of brown packing paper that I got on Amazon. Very, very cheap, and there's lots of it there. Will last forever. So I like to masterboard on that because it stays really, really flexible. Okay, so I would have no problem actually using that as a page in a journal even. Okay, that's why I like to use that. I have had reservations about masterboards in the past because of their lack of flexibility in the physical sense, the physical flexibility. Okay, so the substrate you use for your masterboards can sometimes dictate exactly what you do with them. So I like to make them on several different substrates. So this one is another favourite. Still quite flexible, but at the same time it is heavier. Okay, so you can see the floppiness of this one compared to this one. It's more card-like, okay? So what I've done here, I have taken some wallpaper and backed it onto that. And that gives a nice heavier weight, but still quite flexible. Okay, so that was just another, we all have different ways of doing things to suit our own needs, and I just thought those two ideas might come in useful. Now I do have a little experiment piece that I was doing. So now this isn't using the paper, this is just using all neutral tones. And some of my edges didn't stick down, and that's an issue, and it's something that I'm working on. But so this one is really, really light as well. But on the back, I have backed it onto some tissue paper. Now, I wasn't patient enough to wait for it to dry well enough, so it has torn in some places. And I have another one over there drying and ready to go, and just kind of ready and waiting to see if it'll work better if I'm more patient and let it dry. But I just thought I would show you this as well. I've been watching the videos of Dragana over at Sasibo and Natasha at the Treasured Page, I think it was. They've both been working with napkins and making faux rice paper and things like that. And with the collage, or sorry, with the masterboarding and that in my head together, I think the two just meshed together, and I came up with trying this. So I just wanted to show you that. Maybe it's something that you want to play around with yourselves. Again, it's nice and flexible. It is double-sided, I guess, in the sense that it's not fully obscured on the back, but there is slight obscuring there. Now, on the other one that I'm doing, I actually have put a layer of napkin over the front as well. So I'm going to see how that works, just to see. I'm just playing around with it. So I just thought I'd show you that very quickly as well today. Okay. Now, on to what we are doing. So with this piece, as you can see, I have gone further. These are just the plain ones. I've just stuck down my papers and that's all that's been done to those. This one I have gone a little further. I have done some gesso just to unify all those pieces and make it all look like it's one piece. And then I have gone and I have done some stamping. I have added in the little extra pieces, the focal pieces that Rachel gives us on that sheet. Here are some of those. I have them all clipped together in their little sets. And I have added some washi tape as well. So that's a little bit more done than those. Now I do want to show you as well. These are pieces that I did with my Spring Fresh kit, and I have already cut this one up. I have backed this onto wallpaper and let the pattern come through on the back, which I think is quite pretty. It's a nice neutral colour and all the rest of that. But these are the pieces that I cut from that, okay? So I'm just going to take these out of the way, just so that you can see what you're looking at. So we have a couple of corner pieces here. Journaling card, maybe a side tuck or a belly band maybe. But the point, what I wanted to show you on these ones is that I have done some stamping and I have done some extra little focal points over the top, but I have also done some heat embossing on it, and it just, I love this. I love how random it seems, and it's a look that you can't really get any other way other than masterboarding, by stamping the whole piece and gessoing, putting patterns on, even the heat embossing. There's no way you would get this randomness if you were to do these on the separate pieces, okay? So on this piece, there's very, very little of the heat embossing, and I have done two types of heat embossing here, or not two types, two different kind of sessions. On these ones you can very easily see the gold with the pattern, but on this one, if you look down here just in the corner, this is actually heat embossed. It is a stencil of some kind of large script writing, and I just got pieces of that there, and I embossed that one in purple, and it's a see-through purple, so it's not in your face. So I just wanted to show you that, just so that you could get some more ideas. I mean, like I said, Rachel did an amazing video on masterboarding, so do be sure to go and have a look at that. I will link it in the comments below, or in the description box below. But I just wanted to give you some extra ideas as well. Okay, so that's those. Now, on to what we're doing today, for sure. So I'm using this piece, I think, and maybe one of these, okay? Now, an explanation here is kind of necessary as well. This was supposed to be just the base layer, just gluing and all the rest of it, but for some reason, I have some PVA glue watered down in a tub up there, and it came up pearlescent. I have absolutely no idea why. I don't have anything pearlescent like that in my stash. I don't have pearl powders or anything like that. So I have absolutely no idea what's gone on there. But I'm going to use it. It's quite pretty. No reason not to use it. So I am going to use it. So we're using these two pieces today. Now, we're going to work with this one first, because I am actually going to go and back this onto some cereal box. Okay, so I have that glued down, underweight and drying while we are working with this one. Let's just get that out of the way. There we go. Okay, so what we are doing today, we are making journal covers. Now I'm going to show you two different examples of how we would go about making a journal cover from these. And I'm keeping them quite basic because I want this to be, you know, a good place to start for beginners and things like that. We have quite a few new beginners in the group, so I thought this would be a great place to start. We are doing one very, very simple one and one slightly more advanced, but only very slightly, okay? So let's decide how we want to use this for a cover. Now, I am thinking that if I just fold that in half, that would make a really nice long cover. But I'm just going to pull this out just as an example, just for the length of the page. Now I'm using A4 pages. If you are using letter size, it might be slightly different. So we have quite a bit of a gap there, but it's not too far out. So I'm thinking if we just fold it like this and trim the edges, you know, just to leave a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. Okay, so let's get that out of the way for a second. I need to square up my edges because being that I just trimmed a piece of the wallpaper off and I wasn't being very careful about whether it was straight or not. If you have used an A4 sheet or a 12 by 12 paper pad, it'll all be lovely and straight, but mine isn't, so I do need to get this trimmed. Okay, and I will do that off camera and I'll be right back to you guys. Okay, so I have that all trimmed up nice and straight, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure I have it the right way up for a start, and then I am going to measure here with my A4 signature. I'm just using the signature simply because it was right beside me, but you can use measurements. You can actually measure it with a ruler, or you can use your own signature page. Just get a regular page out of your pack of papers, but just to get it to the height that you want it. Okay, so I'm going to leave tiny bit. I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch at the top and at the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to trim that off. Okay, now I'm going to keep this bit. This will make a lovely belly band in a journal somewhere, or you know, something like that. Okay, so we have our piece trimmed down to be the right size. I'm just going to double check that. Yeah, so you can see I have a little bit top and bottom just to contain those pages. Now obviously it's not going to be a full width journal, but that's okay. I just wanted the height to be that height. Let's get that out of the way again. Now, as you probably guessed, we are doing a simple fold over here. So this is essentially our journal cover. Now you could go ahead and just stitch pages in there and you have a journal, but we're going to prettify the inside. So you could actually take another masterboard and glue that to the inside, but I think I am going to go slightly different, and I'm going to line mine with fabric. Okay, so I have in my stash this very pretty sheer fabric, and because of the backing paper here, it's a nice cream buff kind of colour. I think this will work really well under this fabric. Now, as I was pulling this out, I actually happened to turn this over and this fell on top here, and doesn't that look amazing? That's another way that we could jazz up our masterboards, is to put some sheer fabric over them. You still have the patterning showing through and you get the pattern and the texture of the fabric on top, and I love that idea. It's one that I will definitely use at some point, but for today we're going to put it on the inside. Now, how in the world am I going to adhere this, you say, without it looking weird? Isn't that flower so pretty? That's gorgeous. Okay, so adhering this fabric, I am going to use, now I could use my fabric glue, but I think I'm just going to use this PVA bond. It's from ARC. I can't find it. I can't give you a link for it because I can't find it anywhere. I just got this in a local shop, but it is a PVA bond. It's a PVA glue that builders use, and it's the very same as regular PVA. It's just thicker formula and stronger as well, I think. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to get this painted on. I'm going to try and do a very thin layer because we have a very thin fabric. I hope you guys are enjoying the mini May the May challenge, sorry, in the group. There is mini challenges and a main challenge as well. There's lots going on over in the group. If you're not a part of the group yet, go on over there and join up. I will have the link in the description box below for you guys. Such a fun group, such a friendly and welcoming place to be as well. All the girls over there are just lovely. Okay, so we have a nice thin layer of that there. There's no puddles, no pools, nothing. And I think this will work quite well for the fabric simply because it is a nice light fabric. While we don't want puddles and stuff, we want to have enough glue. There we go. Okay, so let's get this put away for now. Now I'm just going to lift this up and give my desk a very quick wipe just to get the excess glue off of there. I don't want this getting on the edges of my fabric, and you will see why shortly. Okay. Now where's that lovely little blue flower? I want to make sure that I get that little flower that we were looking at. There we go. So I'm just going to position my fabric where I want it, like so. And because we've done a nice thin layer of glue, that is not going to seep through. And also, while I was cleaning my desk and things, that glue was getting a little bit tackier. So that really helps with not having it seep through your fabric as well. Now, my secret to this process, it's not even a secret, just this is how I go about doing something like this. I use a brayer and I just try and get good contact between those two surfaces, the fabric and the paper. Okay, now if you're doing this and you're using a brayer, if your brayer gets damp and slightly gluey, it may actually start to lift the fabric, which is the exact opposite of what you want. Just give it a quick wipe and dry it, and that will sort that problem out. Okay. Now, let's set this aside to dry and see how our other cover is doing. We'll come back to this. Okay, so we have our masterboard backed onto our cereal box. Now, let's get this cut up. Just going to trim these pieces off. Now, as I said, if you have a stiffer piece than what I had, you probably won't need to back it onto anything for this. But because I had done it the way I had done it, this is the way I ended up having to do it. Now, obviously, I'm going to keep these pieces. These can be used throughout the journal. Put those aside. So this is what we have. Now, a couple of my corners are lifting, I think. There, and there's a little bit there. Yeah. So I'm just going to get some glue in there right now before we go any further. I don't know whether I'm really enjoying this pearlescent. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's an effect that I would have tried to get at times, but I think it's because I wasn't expecting it to be pearlescent. It's not really agreeing with me. Oh, I missed a big part here. So if you're layering on like this and it's lifting, don't worry about it. Just go and get some glue in there, it'll be fine. Okay. That's that. And I think that is it. Just need a little more trimming here. Voila. Okay. So that's what we have right now. Now we need to decide what size we want our journal. Could I get a full journal out of it? No, not out of this piece. So we'll go a little bit smaller. I'm going to make a mini journal then. Okay, mini journal cover. Okay, so I've decided that my journal pages are going to be 4.5 inches by 6 inches. Just writing that down so I don't forget. So I'm going to want my covers to be a little bit out on the foredge here and a little bit top and bottom. So if I cut my piece, I'm going to turn it this way now. If I cut my piece at 4 3/4 to allow for a 1/4 inch on that fore edge, or sorry, if I do 4 3/4, we'd have a 1/4 inch. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to mark at 4 3/4. And I'm going to have it 6 inches. So this is not 12 inches high. So I'm going to need 2 of these, 4 3/4 and 4 3/4. So let's go again. And then I'm going to come down here and mark at, and because we want a piece at the top and a piece at the bottom, I'm going to go 6 plus 1/4 for the top plus 1/4 for the bottom, so that will give me 6 1/2. So 6 1/2. There we go. Around about there. Okay, so let's get that trimmed out. So that's what we have. Now, which do we want front and back? I think this is a no-brainer actually. I think we want this one for the front and this one for the back. Now, taking one of our leftover pieces, we can use this as a spine. And this is the piece that I cut from this edge. So it's actually the right length. It'll be the perfect length. So this is what we have right now. Might need a tiny bit of a trim. Yay, so we have the makings of the cover. Now, this is going to be the exact same process for a larger journal, guys. I'm just making this in a mini size simply because of the piece that I had. Now, I could have taken the other masterboard that I had there, backed that onto the same card and made a full-size journal. But let's make a mini. Why not? Minis are fun. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. That's that out of the way. Now, what is the next part of the process? Okay, so we need some way to attach our spine. Okay, so do we want to leave the spine like that? Do we want to maybe have a fabric spine instead? Do we want our spine to be covered in fabric? And I think I would like to actually cover this with the fabric. Now, because I'm going to cover it with the fabric, we could use it just like this, but because I want to cover it with the fabric, I'm actually going to turn that over. And I'm going to cover this side so that it'll be nice and smooth. Now, what fabric do I want? Let me go and find some fabric. As it turns out, I have the perfect fabric here. Okay, so I need to get that down there. And this is a lovely, it's got a lovely kind of almost iridescent sheen to it. So we need our fabric to be wide enough that it's going to cover our spine and that it's going to come over our two pieces a nice bit. Okay. And I should mention as well, guys, you don't have to leave your spine this wide. You can make this as narrow or as wide as you wish. Okay. I'm just leaving it at this for the sake of the video. I'm not going to be cutting it down anymore. Now we could of course leave our fabric to the outsides of our boards as well, so that in the end it looks like that. Obviously we'd have that straight and we'd have this nice little piece coming over the edge. And do you know what? I think I'm going to do that. I think that looks awesome. Yeah, okay, let's do that. I'm going to straighten this up. I think this was a piece that I must have marked for something. It's got some pink marking or something there, I think. Now for this piece, I am actually going to use my rotary trimmer because I am notoriously bad for cutting straight lines on paper. You can imagine what it's like on fabric. Just going to take off those pieces. I don't mind the fray, but I don't want to go fraying all the rest of it on camera. So, okay, let's get this glued down. I'm using my fabric glue, excuse me. Okay, now I could go further here and go stitching on the spine and all the rest of that. I'm not going to. We're going to keep this as simple as possible, okay? So that's that. Now, what we are looking for now is to get these pieces adhered. Now, making sure that we have them the right way that we want them. So this is going to be our front cover. That is going to be over here, face down. And this is going to be our back cover, and that's going to be over here. Now, when you're making a cover like this that has a separate spine piece and all the rest of that, you need to leave enough of a gap between the spine piece and the cover piece for that hinge to work properly. Now, the guideline is 2 pieces, 2 widths of this, we should say, okay? Two widths of your cover board. So I will put that in there. Get that lined up. That is 1 width. That's not correct. There we go. That's 1 width. So we need to leave at least double this. Now the ideal way would be to have a second piece of this and have them there, but I don't have the second piece to hand. I do. What am I saying? Do I? I do. Silly me. So I can use these 2. And just put them down. Put that up against it. And that's our width for our hinge. Okay, now you can go wider than that, no problem, but it shouldn't be any narrower than this for that hinge to work. Okay, now I'm going to eyeball it because I've done enough of these that I know. And I'm just going to mark kind of where my glue is going to end here. I don't want glue coming out too much. So I'm just going to get... Just going to get my glue down here, and I'm going to do the same process that I did for the spine piece. Going to smooth out my glue, and I'm going to let it sit for a minute, okay? Okay, so I do actually have a little bit of glue seeping through there because I didn't wait long enough because I was just impatient to get through it for the video. But I'm okay with it. We can sort that out later. So the next step is to get this glued down here. And we're going to use our glue again. Now, with this piece here, I'm not sure that I want to go and glue that fabric to itself. But I do want these pieces to be nicely set down. You know what? Let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to get a little bit of glue on here. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Now, when you're putting this glue onto the fabric itself, be very gentle when you're smoothing it out. You don't want to push it through the fabric. You just want to smooth it out. Do the same down here. And while there's a lot of talking involved in explaining this. It's actually really not difficult, guys. So if you're putting off making a journal because you're unsure about making the cover, just give it a go. At the end of the day, it's only paper and it's only scrap fabrics and a bit of glue. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Keep making until you figure it out and get it right. But follow the instructions. Like I said, it seems like an awful lot of instruction and all the rest of it. But once you actually do it, it is so very simple. Okay, so let's get glue on our card. I don't mind if the glue comes out the edges at this side because it won't be seen. We'll be covering that anyway. So we want to get those little pieces creased in there as well. As much as possible. Okay. I'm going to get some of that glue off of there. Now I'm going to go and put this under weight. I am going to just lay a sheet of this backing off of some contact over it, shiny side down, and I'm going to put it under some books, and we will come back to our other cover that we're working on. Yay! That looks so pretty. Okay, so that is going to be the inside of our cover. This is not fully dry yet, but I'm going to work away and hope that we can get the video done with it like so. I have my little goddaughter is gone for our communion this weekend, so this is the only chance I will get to record. So let's get this trimmed a little bit anyway. Just want to take off this excess fabric for now. Now I want to decide, do I want to leave a piece over the edge? And that's why I was saying I didn't want to get glue. Yeah, I think that would be very pretty. But will I manage it? Let's see. Let's try. Okay, so I'm going to trim with my rotary trimmer yet again. And I'm going to leave about 1 centimetre around each edge. We'll see how it looks. We can always trim it off afterwards if we don't like it. Okay, so I think I really like that. Yay! Now, I've covered mine with fabric. You don't have to. You can just put a sheet of paper in here, pretty, even a printable paper or some cardstock, or you could just do plain fabric and trim it to the edge. So many things you can do. I just want to show you the basic construction of the cover and how we go about it. And how we think about these things. Now, I'm going to leave it at that for this one. All we would do now is sew in our signatures, and we have a cover. That is the very basic cover. Obviously, if you want a closure, maybe now would be the time to think about it. If you want to sew on it, now would definitely be the time to think about it. And I will be sewing around the edges of this, at the very least, if not more. It is also maybe the time to think about, if you're putting something on the cover like brads and things like that, do it before you line your cover, and then put your lining on, and that will cover the backs of brads and all that sort of stuff. You can also sew before you put on the lining, so that your lining will cover the back of your stitches. I quite like the back of my stitches to show through, so that's why I did it this way. But I am really loving that, and that is going to make a very pretty journal altogether. I'm just going to trim these little bits, just a tiny bit. When I was cutting this on my mat, these little fibres were getting caught as they were being pushed into the mat. So I ended up having to, when I was taking the fabric up, just bend your mat like this and it will pull out much easier. because what happens with these self-healing mats is there's lots of little tiny kind of almost like fibers there, and they part when you put a sharp object through them, and then they come back together again. So if you do this, it will open them a little bit and enable you to pull it out. Okay, so that is our first cover. I am not decorating this, I am just showing you what we can do with our masterboards. I'm going to look forward to seeing all your many different variations of decorations and things like that. I cannot wait to see them. They're going to be awesome. But I'm not going to do that with you. I'm going to leave you guys do that. Okay, so let's go back to our other cover and see. Okay, so we have a little cover. Look at that. That is going to be so cute. Look at the size of it. That is so tiny. I love it. Okay, now we're at the same point here where we can line the inside of our cover. And on this hinge here, guys, I would recommend covering that with fabric rather than paper, simply because paper wears very, very quickly. Okay, so again, at this point, this is where you would think about maybe sewing or putting brads and things like that on. And I am actually going to go off and have a think about what I want to do with this one, and then I will come back and we will do the inner lining with you guys, okay? Okay, you guys, so I have gone ahead and I have stitched around all of the edges here. As you can see, the back of my cover is looking a bit hodgepodge, but we'll be covering all that. And on the spine, I have taken 3 of the pieces that Rach gave us in the freebie, and I have sewn around them, and they will make a nice little spine decoration. Now I have left enough room as well, top and bottom. I may want to put some lace on, I might put in an eyelet, I'm not 100% sure yet. To be honest, I'm working today with a migraine, and even trying to decide what I want to put on the cover is taxing me. But I think I'm probably going to go with something like that, but I'm not going to make a final decision on that today while I am dealing with this migraine. So I'm going to leave those aside. Anyway, back to this. So I have done my little spine decorations. I have put some lace down where the fabric joins the masterboard. And yeah, it's looking really, really pretty, really sweet. So I'm going to finish it here for today. I'm not going to do the inside of this one because I will actually be doing a binding video when it comes time to bind our journals together. At the end of the challenge, I will do a video binding pages into this and into this one, which is looking so awesome. I'm actually loving this cover. And yeah, so you'll get the full journey of making a journal like this. Okay guys, so that is it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I meant to mention also that this freebie sheet that Rachel gave us for the challenge is taken from papers from her new kit, her new kits I should say. It's called Nana's Roses, and there are several different parts to the kit. They're absolutely stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. And that is also why I chose to use this image here. I figured that could be Nana, and there's her roses. And yeah, I think that is actually quite pretty looking to my eye at the moment. But like I said, I'm not going to decide on that yet with this migraine going on. Okay, so go and check out the kit. Go and check out the Facebook group. Go and check out the challenge on the Facebook group. Check it all out, guys. It's so much fun. I'm so looking forward to it. And having so much fun making masterboards and stuff. I actually made, like, I think it was something like 8 masterboards the other day. So yeah, really, really fun. Okay, have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic weekend, guys. Or week, I should say, because this is going out on Monday. And I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.